And we're back. What's happening? Adiz here with a quick video now. We're gonna learn something today because I get annoyed with people not being honest, transparency, explaining stuff, and people trying to take advantage of people. So this video is about brakes and rotors. Now, obviously everybody knows you have your car and you have to get brakes and you have to get rotors. But when do you actually have to get them? When do you have to replace your brakes? When do you have to replace your rotors? So this is an example of my rear brakes, okay? I have a Nissan Altima. Now, it may be hard to see, right? And I just had a little sliver left here. Can we, maybe over here, is it easier to see? I don't know. So as you can see, that what happens is, let's explain, all right? Bear with me, people. We're gonna break it down step by step. I was a math tutor, so I was good at explaining complex things very easily or simply, so we're going to do that now. Now, the way that brakes work is that around your, damn, my hands are fucking filthy right now. On your tire, they put these rotors. Now, the rotors are what the brakes squeeze onto to slow your car down. So, like, you know, it's a big round shape that goes on and like what kind of like drilled into the car. It looks like a hat, you know, it has like a circular thing and then it fans out, right, in a circular larger fashion, right? And the brakes need to squeeze onto something and it squeezes onto the rotors. So the brakes are like this, right? They're probably facing this way. Okay, they're on your tire, and then as you hit the brakes, they're like this, and then they squeeze onto the rotors, okay? And they squeeze onto the rotors as the rotors are spinning because they're on your wheel, and they kind of just slide. The rotors just kind of spinning while on here. And these brakes have grooves, okay? So these brakes are the rear brakes, and if you can tell, like there's an edge here. It goes a little further. Okay, so you see how like it's not that thick, you know, this is the end, okay, this is the brake, this is the end, this is the metal, the very back of the brake, this is what's sticking onto the rotor, and there's these grooves here which kind of show that there's still some brake left because the grooves are still there. This is like a little divot, right? And on this side, on the inside, the grooves are gone, as you can see. There's no two lines in the middle. So that means the brakes are pretty low. You can see that like it's almost has reached the metal part, okay? So there's a little bit left and then it can hit metal. And once that happens, you hear your car squeal every time you hit the brakes, right? Which you don't like. So anyway, on this side, these are my rear brakes. So I kind of needed rear brakes. This is just about metal. I probably would have lasted, I don't know, a few more months maybe. Here's the outside, and these didn't wear that much. For some reason, there was more pressure on the inside of the brake than the outside as they squeeze on the rotor, right? So this is, again, the brake. And very low, not too bad, but it's the same brake on one side of the tire that are squeezing. And you get a set per tire, right? You get a box, all right? That's for the back, left or right, I forgot. Here's the other rear tire, okay? So the grooves are almost gone on that side and the grooves are still there on the other side. So I still had some brake left here, very little, okay? But I still had a little bit left. This one, again, I had a good amount left, you see? There's a good chunk, but again, if one side goes, this is the metal piece, this whole other thick part here is the brake. So now you know your brakes. And now normally this is much thicker. I got brakes now and the brakes are like out to like fucking, to like there. You know, it'd be like a ½ inch thicker. So these are kind of low. So when you buy them, they're pretty thick, okay? And then over time they wear and they wear low. Now with the rotors, which is crazy. I gotta, let me just set this up. All right, I'm running along light here, but we're gonna go outside and look at rotors. So now with rotors, again, the brakes are squeezing on the rotors are wearing down also. The brakes are wearing down, the rotors are wearing down. But how often do you have to replace your rotors? Now, when you go to a fucking mechanic, they'll be like, yeah, you need new brakes. Yeah, get rotors. They don't even tell you because they're trying to make money on you. They don't even tell you, like, you know, maybe you don't need them, or you don't, you know, they right away they just tell you to get the rotors, right? Even when your brakes aren't even that low. So these brakes, I replaced them recently. Someone told me a year ago that to replace my back brakes. I didn't have to, clearly. I still had a little bit left. So a year ago, this guy's trying to make money off of me, saying, oh yeah, you need rear brakes. I didn't really need them, so it's kind of fucked up. So I recommend you go to a mechanic that can show you your brakes, and maybe they're honest. They can, you can talk to them and they'll give you some good information. Now, how often do you have to replace your rotors? So, if you just quickly ask Google, pretty straightforward. That's getting pretty dim in here, but let's see what they say, right?
Circumstances. The lifespan of brake rotors varies depending on several factors, including driving habits, road conditions, and vehicle type. However, most brake rotors can last between 50,000 and 70,000 miles. Here are some signs.
50,000 to 70,000 miles, okay? Brakes don't last that long. Brakes will last a lot less than that, okay? So my car had like 40-something thousand miles on it. I'm like, I just got the rotors a couple years ago, and I'm not even up to like 70,000. And do I even have to replace them? So when you have to replace your rotors when you're braking, there's a few things. We're gonna go outside and look real quick. But when you're braking, okay, when you hit the brakes in your car, do you feel any type of shaking? Like as you're hitting the brakes, okay? That would mean that the rotors are not smooth. The brakes are squeezing on a rotor that's not smooth, so that's not good. You probably have to replace your rotors there. Also, if you hear any type of squealing or something, right? That's what the brakes do, right? Or if you look at the rotors, now we're gonna look outside too. So number one, if you feel any kind of vibration, like as you're braking, or two is you can feel the smoothness, or like if there's any grooves. Okay, we're gonna go outside, and grooves on the rotors, or if they're thin, so you can kind of put your finger on it and like swipe across to see if the lip at the end of the rotor is a large lip. All right, so we're gonna go and check that out right now. All right, so I just wanted to throw something in here real quick before we go outside and check the brakes, and that technically, if everything's going well, your car's driving well, brakes aren't giving you any major issues, you don't notice anything, the shaking and the squealing on the brakes or anything, you should be technically changing your rotors every other time you change your brakes. And this kind of reminds me of when you do an oil change, right? So do your oil change, you should be rotating your tires every other oil change. So just keep those things in mind. Obviously, I'm not a mechanic. Double check with them, but this is kind of generally when you should be doing certain things. So let's go outside, and I am throwing this video in the next day, so we're gonna go outside, right, splicing this in and check out the rotors. Peace. Looking at my rotors, okay, we got the brakes. You can't really see the brake itself and how thick it is, but this is the rotor, okay? This metal thing sitting in your tire, the brakes are there and they squeeze up against this metal thing, and you can see that this piece is, I can't even, it's pretty smooth, okay? So I'm gonna go in here, you're gonna swipe my finger up and down, and it's very smooth, okay? There's no grooves. I know it looks like a little, maybe it looks like dirty or something, but it's actually very, very smooth. Let's keep it steady here. So if, you would see any like major streaks in here, grooves or anything, I mean, there's a little line right there. That's not a big deal. You touch it, it's very smooth. It feels like glass, basically, like a perfectly smooth piece of glass, okay? So that is one reason why you don't have to replace them. It's perfectly smooth, okay? There's no grooves in it. And if I go to swipe up from here to the edge, the top edge, do I feel a lip, like at the very top? Like, did my finger slide all the way to perfectly off of it, or would my finger get stuck because the end is in the way and it can't go past? But if you look, this rotor, there's no lip here, okay? There's no lip. This goes perfectly off the edge, which means the rotor hasn't worn. The rotor isn't like much thinner, Okay, it's not getting thinner. It's actually still relatively thick. So you have this side of the rotor, and then there's the other side of the rotor. So when it's perfectly smooth and you're braking and it's not shaking, okay, and there's no lip here, that means you got plenty of time. You're good. You don't have to replace the rotors. So with my car, I can actually see right through this to the rotor and stuff. But in not all cars you can do that. So let's just go to the other tire. Okay, so here's the back tires. Okay, same kind of thing. Okay, can't really see the brakes that I did. It's pretty dark. Oh, looks like a mess down there. Okay, anyway, so you might think that that's a groove. I rub my finger across it. No, nothing. Okay, very smooth. And then I slide up, and there's little to no lip. Okay, my finger's not getting caught at the edge over here. Okay, and that means it's not worn down that much. Obviously there's rust here, that's normal, but this is the part that's important. Okay, this is perfectly smooth and it hasn't worn down to the point that there's a lip there. So hope that helps. Okay, you replace your rotors. You don't have to replace your rotors every time you do your brakes. Okay, so number one, if the car is shaking when you brake, yes, you would probably have to replace them. Or if there's a major groove in here and you can see it, this is not a big deal. There's nothing there. It's perfectly smooth. I replaced only the brakes and the car is still braking perfectly smoothly. So that is that. All right, yeah, so thanks for watching. Ask questions. Yeah, don't just blindly listen to your fucking mechanics trying to fucking, just deceive you and take money from you when you don't have to. Try and get someone to check out your brakes, give you a close look, explain it, show you the rotors, and yeah, save some money. It's always good to learn as much as you can in different places. I like to be like well-rounded. Anytime I have anybody do something at my house, I'm like, teach me how you doing this, what does this mean, what does that mean. When I get somebody to work on my boiler, I have them explain everything to me, because you don't want to get taken advantage of. All right, I guess that's it, and thanks for watching. Subscribe, leave a comment, and talk to you later. Peace.